So, I finally participated in a game jam. More accurately, the Score Jam 13.
But, what is a game jam?
What is a game jam, you ask?
Basically, God gives you a confusing theme. You then have limited time to take the theme and turn it into a game. You spend the first few days deciding what you actually want to make while watching anime. Then on the last day, you realize you have almost no time left and make a game in an hour. Then you submit your game and hope to God that people will actually like it. That's basically the gist of it. Luckily, the theme for this jam was something simple. Dodging, with the optional theme 1 room, and the time limit was 3 days. I participated in this jam with my friend ais.hill, and so as soon as the theme was revealed, I jumped into a call with him to discuss how to make the game.
And let me tell you something about myself and Ice. We are really serious people.
Days. 7 days of cum. Sex on the beach. I like sex.
And after some small discussion, Ice had a genius idea. A game where you move a room to dodge stuff while a character is in the room dodging stuff.
Genius! And it would take off the main theme and the optional theme at the same time.
So I quickly went off and made a small prototype. When we were first talking about the art style, the first idea we had was that the room was underground and above on the surface there would be a town of people that would throw shit down at the room. But that was scrapped because it was too complicated for the amount of time we had. But we did keep the underground theme going until the end. The game also had to have a score system, so I decided you had to pick up coins to get points.
Because no one in the history of games has ever thought of that one.
Then Ice had another brilliant idea. What if you didn't move the room with your mouse, but instead the room would only move if the player walked into the wall pushing it?
I quickly added that and it worked in its first try.
Złania dwojga kocka, ne? Tak samo. Oh.
And it worked in its first try.
What the fuck? Hello?
And it worked in its first try. Now, we have the room that dodges stuff, but we don't have the stuff to dodge.
So I quickly made some kind of a skeleton head enemy that when it spawned would just aim itself towards you and go into that general direction.
After that, I decided I did enough for the day and went to sleep. Psych!
I was awake till 2 AM where I also added a new dungeon tile set, a camera pan-out effect, intro text, found a font and made it so that enemies would randomly spawn in the world at random times and positions. After that, I did go to bed. On day 2, I started creating the monsters, since right now when the skeleton head touches the room, nothing really happens, it just goes through it. So I made 3 simple monsters that, if touched, would damage you. A slime, which every 3 seconds would start charging towards you. A fireball, which would bounce around the room. And a mouse that would just walk around the room aimlessly into random directions. And since now I had 3 monsters and none of them was a skeleton, Mr. Skeleton Head had to be changed into Mr. Slime, Fire and Mouse Head. Then I just simply made it spawn the monsters inside of the room if the monster head touched the room.
Since I now kinda had the idea of how I wanted the gameplay to go, I set off to create the main screen.
After that, I went and drew some simple player textures and put them into the game.
Now, monsters could spawn in your room and would disappear after some time. That was cool and all, but I wanted a bit more.
That's when I finally came up with the theme for the game. You were actually in a dungeon and a witch had locked you in her room, where she now casts spells towards you and effects to make you...
Die?
For the witch's effects, I made a speed up effect that speeds up the entire game, a darkness effect which summons darkness around your room, a flip camera effect which turns everything upside down, and lastly, a spawn more spells at once effect which would spawn multiple spells at once.
Actually, thinking about it now, all of these have pretty self-explanatory names. Ah, who cares?
Ice then provided me with some witch laugh sound effects, which by the way were amazing. He also made some music for the game. Nice. And to end it all off, I made it so that when the enemies touched you 3 times, the game was over.
The game was coming along nicely, so I for once decided I would go to sleep early at around 8 PM to get some well-deserved quality sleep. Psych again!
For the rest of the night, I worked on a leaderboard system and a game over screen, which came out okay. On day 3, I woke up early and instantly began coding.
is what I wish I could say, but I remember that on that day was the deadline for my college assignment, which basically took all of my day.
But I still managed to redesign the spells to actually look like spells, made better coin textures and made some button textures.
And that was it mostly for day 3. The deadline was approaching and I still had no tutorial screen. Nice.
Ais then provided me with the Undertale-like sound effect for the intro text and some game over music. I added the health bar and made some sound effects as well,
to make it sound nice.
Then I exported the game and sent it to some friends so they could try it out and give me feedback.
And as you can guess, they loved it. Okay, I might have made the game just a bit too hard, so I went back and made it a bit easier for the casuals.
When it was exported, I was wondering how my save system actually saved the data, so I investigated and... turns out I was saving all of the data just like that, for anybody to see and edit.
Which, if you haven't figured out yet, it's a big no-no.
Considering anyone can just open it up and change their score to some big random number. But it's no big deal, I have tons of time before I... fuck.
So I speedrun learned encrypting and quickly added it into the game.
After that, I just polished the hell out of it, made an itch.io page, and submitted the game 45 minutes before the jam was over. After everyone had submitted their games, I went out and rated some of them.
My 3 favorite entries were Not Even Close, Dodgeball Dungeon, and Fortle. The creator of the Game Jam actually played the game.
The witch has locked you in your room. Have I been abducted? What's the situation here? The laugh. After I'm done with these last 2. Where are you guys getting these little grunts and witch laughs? And it's a really good use of the theme to get to move the box around like this. This is cool. Good use of the challenge too in one room. That game was fun.
That game was fun, he said. That's a good sign. After the scoring, we came in 14th place, which, not gonna lie, was pretty good considering this was our first game jam.
We learned a lot from this, mainly to make sure you have all of your college stuff sorted out before you enter the game jam, and to stick to small, fun game ideas and not to worry about the art style too much until you actually have a decent theme to work off.
If you're one of those 3 people who actually watch till the end, consider subscribing! The statistics say your dick will grow bigger or something, I don't know. Since I now kinda had the idea how I wanted the gameplay to go, I said, fuck!